Okay, hello. Whoever gets to watch this playback, and if anyone's going to be joining us live on Vitality Living and watching this later, welcome to you. My name's Tanya Sheldon, and I have the honor of introducing my dear friend and a genius and a very wise woman when it comes to your health. Her video camera was working and now it's not. So you're going to be hearing her beautiful voice, but she does have a PowerPoint, so everything's going to be just fine. You're going to get to hear her, but not see her face. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on Gloria Brinker and why you can trust her and trust her knowledge. Gloria started her career in occupational therapy, working in subacute, long-term, and acute therapy, and after 9 years was offered the position of a director of rehab and wellness at a covenant of retired Benediction sisters. She learned firsthand the positive effects natural health, diet, emotional, and spiritual health had in rehabilitation outcomes. After 5 years, Gloria felt compelled to continue her studies and is presently certified in natural health, massage, reflexology, healing touch, and in NES and EVOX practitioner. Gloria focuses on functional health, including educating others on how the body functions and how to support the body in doing its job, helping people to survive and thrive. She is going to talk to us tonight about gut health, about why we have sensitivities to foods and food supplements. So listen in. She's an amazing educator. I know you're going to be fed with this. So Gloria, it is all yours, my dear.
All righty. So, it said host disabled the participant screen sharing.
Yep, I forgot when you came back on. Okay, go for it.
Okay, so now, oopsie, now I should be able to screen share. Yep. So,
we see it, Glow, just so you know.
You're doing it. Okay, good. Okay. So, yeah, so we'll go from the beginning here. Oh my gosh, I don't know what is happening. Okay, so everybody can see it, right?
Yep, we got it.
Okay, awesome. So what I want to talk to tonight only, and this kind of came about just because so many people ask, like, why are people having a reaction? They start on the Protandim and this happens. They start on the collagen and this happens. And so that's why I thought I had talked to Tanya or whatever to maybe doing a thing on here, understanding why the body reacts to foods and food-based supplements. Now, please know that our supplements are food-based supplements, which is a great, an awesome thing. It's much better than taking some sort of a synthetic that we have. So our NRF2 is made of the 5 herbs. Our collagen is made from collagen and fruit and quinoa. So those are considered food-based supplements. But when you have a food-based supplement and the body has a difficult time digesting that food, we have to figure out why. So I never think that somebody should necessarily stop taking the products that we are, but we have to go cautiously, because what we never want to do is cause undue stress to the body. When somebody reacts to a food-based supplement, please know it's not the supplement. It is their own body not properly digesting how it's supposed to be digesting. Okay, does that make sense for everybody? Okay, so I'm looking for some nods. Anyway, so this is a video, and I hope it's going to work. Please work. Please work. Why is this not working? Okay, I gotta move this. Okay, I gotta figure. I'm not sure what just happened. Digestion pop. Okay, I'm not. Okay, let me see if it'll come through this here.
You're back.
I'm back now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna go from current slide, and let's see. Well, evidently the video's not coming through. It worked before. I'm not sure what's happening to my computer, but so anyway, so this basically is just talking about the digestive system and how the digestive system actually works, and how foods actually get into the gut. But we'll just talk about it. I'll just talk about it. Okay.
Take it back.
So as you see, if we have any allergies, food sensitivities, food allergies, skin issues, any of those kinds of things, headaches, or even chronic inflammation, it all starts in the stomach. So those are clear signs that the stomach is not necessarily working how it needs to be working. And so then people can get there. Somehow you're getting undigested food products, including these food-based supplements that mean that whatever you're taking is made from food. They're getting into the large intestine and the small intestine, and they're causing gas or bloating, sometimes diarrhea. And the other thing is that if they are also getting into the small intestine and you have anything called leaky gut, it's leaking into the lymphatic system or even into the bloodstream. And then that's where it can definitely be causing some issues for people when they're taking these things. So again, remember, when we're taking things that are made with food, then though they're considered food. Okay. And so anyway, so digestion, where does it begin? So this is the process of digestion. Basically tonight, I'm just going to be talking to you pretty much about getting into the stomach, that far down. We're not going to go through the whole digestive system when we are talking about people having reactions to the foods or the food-based supplements. So first of all, anytime that we think about food, so think about food right now, your salivary glands, the glands inside your mouth, will actually start to salivate, and you're going to then swallow some of that saliva. When you swallow the saliva from your mouth and it gets into the stomach, that is actually what activates the body to produce HCl, pepsin, and then something also called the intrinsic factor. And those are all things that help our foods to actually be making it to the cells of our body. But we have to ensure that it's always being broken down. Now, our stomach actually needs to have come into the stomach plant-based digestive enzymes. Those plant-based digestive enzymes get activated with the hydrochloric acid and the pepsin. And then that process, then there's a little signal that process then signals the pancreas and the gallbladder. The pancreas, and of course, releases some pancreatic enzymes, and the gallbladder actually releases some bile into the lower part of the gut as well. The duodenum releases those pancreatic enzymes and then bile from the gallbladder. And then the other ones, the jejunum, the ileum, they need probiotics and prebiotics to absorb and convert those kinds of things. And then the large intestine actually reabsorbs about a gallon of water every single day. But once again, we're just going to kind of basically be talking about the process down to the stomach. Okay. So many times, and this was been on the video, what happens is when people are eating food and they're lacking in hydrochloric acid activates the enzymes so that the body can break all the food down into actually all the vitamins and minerals that the body needs to have. When somebody is lacking in enough hydrochloric acid, the stomach has to churn for too long. And so when the stomach is churning and churning and churning to try to digest the food that is in it, to break that food into vitamins and minerals, essential fatty acids, amino acids, all those kinds of things, that's what the job of your stomach is, to try to do all of that. When it struggles with doing that, if there's not enough acid within there, then the stomach churns for too long. If we're supposed to have have a very, very efficient stomach, and our foods are supposed to be digested, let's say within 20 minutes when the stomach is churning and churning, if it churns for too long, it actually increases the amount of water and hydrochloric acid and things like that in there. Your body knows it cannot allow undigested food particles to get into the duodenum, or it will wreak havoc inside your small intestine. But it's building up gas and it's building up gas. And what happens is the top of the stomach, there's a little sphincter on the top of the stomach, and that kind of opens up to release that gas. And then, of course, up from the stomach and into the esophagus is what will be a lot of either the gas or actually the liquid that contains some hydrochloric acid, and it goes up, and then people describe it as heartburn, but it's really, some people will be diagnosed with the stomach acid reflux. And so many times what will happen is that that people will take antacids, or they'll be taking Tums, or even some omeprazole, or Prilosec or Nexium, something like that, to decrease the acid in the stomach. But from a natural health perspective, we believe that it's because the stomach is not efficiently working, and because it's having to churn for too long, it's causing a gas buildup, and then that makes that top sphincter open up, and then that goes up the esophagus. So we have to always go carefully with trying to increase hydrochloric acid in the stomach, but it really is because the stomach is not efficient when that will happen. Okay, so for some people, if even you take the collagen, or you take the NRF2, or you take some fish oil or whatever, if because those are all food-based things. So if the body doesn't have the enzyme, the hydrochloric acid, to break those supplements apart, the supplements can kind of sit on the edge of the stomach, or also those supplements are in the gut for too long and they never really completely break apart enough for that. So many people are running at low hydrochloric acid within their stomach. And what causes that is, you see too many people just eat and gulp on the run. In that last slide I showed, is it said your saliva is what triggers the HCl to be released from the wall of the stomach. But too many people just eat. They bite and gulp, bite and gulp. You know, they put a hamburger in and they're drinking their soda and they're just biting and gulping. And they're not efficiently chewing their food. The more that you chew your food, the easier it actually is on your stomach, because now your food is already starting to be broken down. Some of your saliva contains amylase, which again starts the breakdown process already in the mouth, so that when it gets to the stomach, your stomach doesn't have to churn that much. The other thing is this vagus nerve. Many people are under stress, lots and lots and lots of stress. And the vagus nerve controls your sympathetic and your parasympathetic nervous system. We really need to be in a resting state. And that again really triggers the release of all digestive secretions. If we're running, our body was either meant to eat or meant to run, but it's not meant to do it at the same time. So our stomach, we have to be in the rest and digest mode, meaning you rest. That's why I believe it's very important to even like sit down as a family, say a little prayer before you eat. It kind of gets your body into that rest and ready to digest things. But those are two reasons why the stomach will be lacking in hydrochloric acid. The easiest way for you to test if you're lacking in hydrochloric acid in the stomach is to do this burp test. So you can take a teaspoon of baking soda in 8 ounces of water. First thing in the morning, your stomach has to be empty. It won't make you nauseous. It won't make you sick or anything like that. You can cut it in half. You could do a half a teaspoon of baking soda in 4 ounces of water, but you drink it down. And what you do is you time how long it takes you to burp, and not just little bubble. I mean, I'm talking like a burp. You got to burp, okay? The reason for this is baking soda is very, very alkaline. And in your stomach acids are extremely, extremely acid. When you combine the two of them, it will create a gas. And you should really be burping within that first 1 to 3 minutes. If you're not burping, some people don't burp for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It means that you don't have enough acid in your stomach. And we kind of have to help to correct that first. So again, when food or food-based supplements go in, your body can very efficiently break those down. The other thing hydrochloric acid does is it definitely helps with our immune system, because if there's any fungus, parasites, bacteria, anything like that on our foods, if we have enough acid in the stomach, it will actually kill those kinds of things off. So then they won't move on into the small intestine. Okay, but this is an easy burp test that you can be taking. So without enough stomach acid, okay, that gastric acidity again is your first line of defense, bacteria, yeast, fungus, all those kinds of things. But the other thing is that without enough stomach acid or a good stomach wall, our body has a hard time getting our vitamin Bs, getting our iron, getting our iodine, our calcium, and our magnesium, and any foods that are coming from proteins or fats. So that's very important. When people come to me and they're lacking in some enzymes, or they're running kind of anemic or something like that, they have things with osteoporosis, or their nervous system isn't working quite right with not enough magnesium, I always want to look at the stomach and make sure, because if the stomach isn't working right, our body can't even work with those kinds of supplements. And even if somebody takes a supplement, it's not necessarily going into their body. Okay, really good sources of betaine HCl if you do the burp test. Okay, and not everybody needs to supplement with this HCl. If you do the burp test and you're burping right away, it means your stomach acid is pretty good. And also, people shouldn't need to be on the betaine HCl or supplementing for some acidic kinds of things forever. Because once you get that balance in the gut, many times it'll stay balanced unless you take a medication or some other antacid kind of things, okay? But betaine HCl, and that's a pill form, of some acid. Now, our own stomach acid is supposed to be at about a 2.3 pH. Betaine HCl is more like at a 3 or maybe a 3.5. Apple cider vinegar is probably more up at that 3.8. You can do apple cider vinegar or tablets. You can also do digestive bitters. You can also chew on cranberries or other sour-like foods that really make you pucker. Like it makes your saliva go, because then again, that's what triggers your body to be getting its own hydrochloric acid within there. So these are really good sources of it. And again, it doesn't do the burp test first and see if that's your issue. If that's not your issue, you can just move kind of on, okay? But the skin within the lining of your stomach, this is what it will look like within there. And you see all those wiggly one layer cells. That's the skin cell wall of the stomach. If that is really, really thin, what's supposed to happen is when you take a supplement, do you see how it's supposed to, oh, so beautifully just be resting like right along there on all those skin cells, and it'll be churning and it'll break up properly. Okay. But if you don't have enough acid in the stomach, it does really thin out. And taking an acid will make it thin out even more. So when people complain about a gut, that they have pain when they take the Nerf 2 or when they take the Nerf 1 or something, they're complaining about pain. The problem is that wall there has been thinned out. And so instead of that supplement being there, wall is thinned out and the supplement is actually resting right there, because that it's thinned out there. And the way that we can thicken that up is definitely with some extra hydrochloric acid. But again, like I said, we have to go very slowly and carefully to not put too much acid in the stomach either. But when people complain about pain in their stomach when they take something, or like it just doesn't feel right, or their stomach is kind of bloated after they're taking some of our food-based supplements, usually it's because the lining of the stomach is thinned out. Once again, our supplements are fabulous. So don't ever, always think that it's the function of that person's body that is interfering with them having the capability to take the supplements that we have, because ours are food-based supplements, which is fantastic. Okay. The other thing within the stomach that we can be lacking in is digestive enzymes. Now, I'm a strong digestive enzyme person. Everybody knows that, okay? But what happens within the stomach, the lining of the stomach, again, if it has that nice thick lining, it's actually supposed to be making about 10%, 10 to 20% of the digestive enzymes that we need. Okay, so medications can thin out that lining, antacids can thin out that lining, poor diet, a lot of preservatives in our food will become an irritant to the lining of that stomach, and it'll thin it out. And what happens then is that the wall of the stomach cannot create enough digestive enzymes. The other thing is that we are supposed to be getting about 80% of our plant-based enzymes from fresh fruits and vegetables. And the problem with it is right now the fresh fruits and vegetables are radiated at the warehouses of the farms, and even the organic ones have this done. And the reason for that is that those foods have a longer shelf life. Okay. And so this is really why I strongly believe people need to incorporate digestive enzymes into their lifestyle. Because unless you're growing your own food and picking it right out of the garden, then it has those live enzymes in it. But otherwise, up to 50% of the enzymes are actually killed off at the warehouses. And you can go back and do a little bit of history. You can Google this yourself. This is from the USDA, Agricultural Research. And it says right here in 1963, the FDA authorized the first use of irradiation to treat foods. And that was done to wheat and wheat flour. They were irradiated. And so very first, I mean, thinking way back when, in my life even, the very first thing that people had some allergies to were milk-based products. And again, it was the pasteurization of milk that killed off the enzymes. Then the next thing many people had an allergy to were the wheat and the wheat flours, okay? So in 1963 is when they approved that irradiation. And 23 years later, in 86, is when this irradiation was approved to control insects, inhibit growth, and all these kinds of things in ripening fruits and vegetables. And then in 1990 is when they strongly implemented it. When they did some studies on it, what this irradiation showed is that it actually helped the foods not to be so perishable. So sweet onions could be on the shelf for 3 months. Tomatoes could be picked when they were fully ripe. Years ago, before this, they picked the tomatoes green and let them ripen on the trucks on the way. Now they're able to pick the tomatoes ripened, and then they can truck them all over because they've killed off of the digestive enzymes. So when you take some food and you leave it out on your counter, and the tomatoes start to rot, or they like start to decompose and start to break down, those are actually the enzymes that our body needs in our stomach to help all of the foods break down into all the vitamins and minerals. But when they zap it with this radiation, it kills off the digestive enzymes that we are supposed to be getting in to our food. Okay, and here's a study that was done as well in 2018 that said currently proposed methods to inhibit this microbial growth, and they cause enzyme inactivation, but they don't necessarily affect the color of the foods, the compound, the vitamins, things like that. But from a digestive standpoint, we're no longer bringing plant-based digestive enzymes into our stomach to help our bodies to digest those foods. And once again, what happens then is that it causes our stomach to have to work harder and churn and churn and churn. And then many times that's what's causing the gas and the bloating and all of those kinds of things. I have some favorite enzymes, but if you're looking for a particular enzyme, make sure that they have at least these 4 enzymes in them. So you want the amylase, the lipase, the protease, cellulase, and if they have more, that's okay. But if you're looking to purchase an enzyme, make sure it has at least those 4 enzymes within there, because then you're going to get the best support for the stomach that you can. Okay. Now I'm going to jump a little bit into that that small intestine as well, because why does our body lack in probiotics? So please know this: if we don't have enough enzymes in our stomach and hydrochloric acid in our stomach, that means that partially undigested food particles are getting into the small intestine. And what that does is it wreaks havoc in the small intestine. So there's some people that have pain in the stomach, and then there's some people that have pain in the small intestine. And then that will be more gas, bloating, and even more skin-like issues will come, because the lack of the HCl and the enzymes allow undigested food particles to get into the small intestine. When those undigested food particles get into the small intestine, they become bad bacteria. And when the balance in the gut with the good bacteria and the bad bacteria, there's always a balance going on. So bad bacteria eats good bacteria, and good bacteria eats bad bacteria. So if you have too many undigested food particles getting into that small intestine, it will do 2 things. That it will feed some of the other yeast and fungus and bad bacteria that's in there, and then people can then have bacterial overgrowth. And so if you ever hear of people small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, that's exactly what that's in. Now, what we want to do is we want to starve the bad bacteria. How do we starve the bad bacteria? Is make sure that all of our foods are broken into vitamins and minerals before it gets into the small intestine. Now, we can, of course, take probiotics to try to get that balance going. But we want to prevent those undigested food particles from getting in there, because our small intestine, the thing that we want to, I'm going to jump ahead here. Our small intestine, if those undigested food particles get into the small intestine, it almost acts like sandpaper in the microvilli in that small intestine. Then that causes inflammation. Okay, and then that causes leaky gut or intestinal permeability. And I'm sure that you've heard people talk about leaky gut or intestinal permeability. But the issue with it is that undigested food particles, it's partially still food, it's getting in there, and it's rubbing along those microvilli. So this is from, of course, Dr. Axe, but what he's talking about in here is when we have inflammation in that small intestine, that there's that leaky gut. So all of those toxins, the microorganisms, the gluten, all those kinds of stuff can get into the bloodstream. And then that actually causes some autoimmunity things, food intolerances, systemic inflammation. And that's where, I believe that a lot of the skin issues and also that systemic inflammation goes back again to, is the stomach working or is it not? Because now we've got undigested food particles getting in there and getting into the bloodstream that they're not supposed to. Once these foods, undigested food particles, get into the bloodstream, the body builds up histamines in the bloodstream. So when people have food allergies, then that is why people will give them antihistamines. Take Benadryl. Take this to try to suppress that overreaction within the body, but the body will create histamines. And if it gets bad enough, the body will actually know that you have allowed this to leach into the bloodstream for so long, and as soon as you get something up to the mouth, the throat will start to close off, or the lips will start to swell, and people know right away, oh, that has this mushroom in it, or that has this wheat in it, or things like that. But it's because the body is like overreacting and saying, stop putting these undigested food particles in my body. But it will respond in that way and really give you like at the forefront, like right by the mouth or the lips, that have an allergy to this right away. So what we're trying to do is trying to get the stomach to work so efficiently so you don't have the undigested food particles causing the inflammation and leaky gut. So then those undigested food particles get into the bloodstream, and then they really wreak havoc and then have systemic inflammation. And so this is what's happening within there. And as you see, it's autoimmune, inflammation, the immune response system. But again, it's not the small intestine's fault. What's causing the stress to the small intestine is that the stomach is not necessarily working quite right. And again, this can happen with food, and it can also happen with food-based supplements. Okay. This is a picture. This is where it kind of gets into the bloodstream. In the small intestine, of the picture on the left-hand side, there's that thin wall. Okay. And so when the gut is leaking, it will leach into those undigested food particles, either into the lymphatic system or into the bloodstream. One of the two is what will happen. So we want to just make sure that our gut is extremely protected with all of them. And this is where I believe that the NRF2 is so important, because what all that blood does is it enters the liver, and the very first thing it has to do is cleanse it out, the liver. And then that's what the glutathione in the NRF2 definitely helps to do. Okay. These antioxidants and that glutathione. We have to keep the toxins out, which is very hard to do. We also can then help the body to have it. These are two different slides talking about unhealthy blood. This is what your blood looks like when it has too many undigested food particles in it. And on the right-hand side, we want healthy. Do you see the difference of the body's ability to move around the immune system, the body's ability to transport nutrients, the body's ability to do all of that? When you have free-flowing healthy blood on the right, unhealthy sticky blood on the left-hand side. So that's again why, if the digestive system isn't working, the body can be malnourished, although you're taking and eating all this great food, but it can have that kind of reaction within the bloodstream as well. Okay? And of course, then this unhealthy blood causes the free radicals. And we all know then that causes the oxidative stress, and it just becomes a whole circulation of everything in our life that we should be doing. So what do I really recommend when somebody comes to me with gut issues, with gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea? If people come to me with skin issues, okay, dry skin, psoriasis, eczema, dermatitis, if people come to me with joint pain, muscle pain, fatigue, brain fog, any of it, I just always go back to the gut, and particularly the stomach, because we get nutrients into the body, and it has to go into our mouth, and it has to go into our stomach. And please, once again, know, I'm just so confident in saying our products are so good. They're food-based products. So if somebody can't digest them, it has to do with their own function of their stomach and their small intestine, not the products. Does that make sense? So we always have to kind of get that corrected. So again, these are the things that I recommend. Betaine HCl if needed. So do your burp test and see if you need it, because not everybody needs it. Not everybody needs that long term. Digestive enzymes, I believe always, just because our foods are radiated. And so it gives us the opportunity to have the most efficient stomach that we can have. And then the Protandim, because it does decrease oxidative stress in the lining of the gut. And tonight I'm just particularly talking about the gut, okay? So it helps to decrease oxidative stress in the lining of the gut. When I did some research in regards to the lining of the stomach, they find high levels of oxidative stress when the stomach wall is thinning out. When the stomach wall is thinning out, it means it's not producing the enzymes or the HCl like it needs to, but they find very high levels of oxidative stress in the lining of the gut. So the Protandim will actually help with that, at the same time with taking the enzymes and the HCl if you need to. And then it also increases glutathione in the liver so that the liver itself can do its job. The collagen, highly recommended, because we all know that collagen is good. And our collagen has 10 different types of collagen in it, which is fantastic because, of course, I have to research that too. And it does help with the endothelial and epithelial cells that are in the lining of the intestine, in all the little filters within the liver and in the kidneys. I mean, there's so many benefits of taking the collagen that we have with the 10 different types of collagen in it. But it really helps to increase that skin density, thicken up that skin density in the lining of the stomach and the lining of the small intestine, and through the whole gut. And then I love, when people have gut issues, I really recommend that they're taking our Omega Plus, just because it acts like a lotion to the lining of the gut. Many times when you look at your external skin of your body, and if the external skin of your body looks a little dry, looks a little crepey, that's what the inside of your gut looks like too. So when our external skin needs lotion on it, our internal skin and the lining of our body, and even in the around our cells and things like that, needs that omega. They need that essential fatty acids to really like provide the lotion to the inside of the body. So this is really, these are the kinds of things that I really recommend when people do come. Okay. Now, many people ask what kind of enzymes that I use. I use a variety. Well, probably just from 2 different companies. But Pure and Caps. Oops. What happened?
You're still here.
Is it still up there? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this Pure Encapsulations is a company that I was probably introduced to maybe like a year and a half ago. And so they guarantee as well that there's no extra fillers, there's no extra bad stuff in there. They're the gluten-free, the non-GMO, and they're hypoallergenic. So they're a very good supplement line. And I did set up a patient direct, meaning that people can order directly from this company. And so you can take down that information. Otherwise, you can screenshot or take your camera right now and you can go on that QR code. And if you enter my code there, which is the 642172, I gave my customers my 20% discount. So if anybody goes in there, you get the 20% discount. You can order directly from the company as well. But the betaine HCl is in that bigger bottle there. That's the one that I really recommend. And then the digestive enzyme that I use is this digestive enzyme ultra. And so and LifeVantage, I wish LifeVantage had a digestive enzyme. Okay. And that would be the big thing for me to beg on everybody, is to really help to spread that word, and to really because that's the only thing I reach outside of LifeVantage is that digestive enzyme. Okay. So any questions about anything?
Gloria, that was amazing information. Thank you for sharing it. I'm sure if people have, yeah, everybody loved it. I think, long story short, Gloria, what you're telling us is the gut matters. And as much as we might take care of the outside of our body, we should also do the same for the inside of our body.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. And I just can't express enough. I think our products are so vital to our quality of life. And when someone cannot take our food-based products, it really is that they have an unbalanced gut. And I've seen it time and time and time again. Sometimes I have to dial it back a little bit. That's why sometimes too, some consultants will say, okay, try a fourth of a Protandim, try a half of a Protandim. And that's why. It's because it slowly, even the Protandim, if that helps to reduce the oxidative stress in the lining of the stomach, dialing it back a little bit and taking a smaller amount, if that can help to encourage the lining of that stomach to become healthier, then that's why after a month or 2 of a half, then all of a sudden they can take a full one, because they're restoring the lining of that gut. And even with the collagen, so just to know, and my hunch is, and I mean, I've seen it time and time again, is that if somebody can't take the food-based products that we do have, they also have other gut issues that are going on that they don't know about, because they really should be able to take, a gut should be healthy enough to be able to take the full dosage of the things that we have. And so it's just an indicator that there's something else going on in there. Now, again, dialing it back, if that is a resolution for some people, smaller quantity, and then work up to that larger quantity, that's a great thing. If that doesn't work, then to really focus on the HCl and the digestive enzymes as another tool just to make their stomach more efficient.
I remember you once telling me too that food allergies shouldn't even exist.
Correct. Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of it does even from birth, but to know too that the digestive enzymes that our stomach releases and the ones that we're born with do come from the DNA of our mom and dad. So if the
Mhm.
mom or the dad have had gut issues prior to the conception of that child, then that lack of enzyme can be passed on to that child, and that's why children can be born with some allergens to some things. And so again, it still is correcting that, as a time allows and the age of the child allows for that. But it is to really honestly get it good before they reproduce, because you have to get it restored before that happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we don't have an enzyme but we've got phenomenal products and I think it's so
yes.
kind of you to offer up your discount that you get as a practitioner for those that are looking for an enzyme. And thank you for speaking to those that maybe have struggled a little bit and starting the products and a solution for them so that they can be on our phenomenal products and be on them long term. I think that's just it's such a great, beautiful training that you did.
Mhm. Good.
Thank
All
you.
righty. Thank you.
All
Have a great
right,
night.
everybody have a great night. Bye.